Good evening and welcome to Fine Point, where no narrative is sacred, no media hoax is safe, and we zero in on the big picture. My name is Christian Hartsock. I'm the writer for Fine Point, filling in once again for Chanel Rion. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene has criticized the FDA's recent approval of Moderna's new lower dose COVID-19 vaccine, mNEXSpike, labeling it as, quote, not MAHA at all, MAHA meaning Make America Healthy Again. The vaccine is authorized for adults age 65 and older and for individuals aged 12 to 64 with underlying health conditions. Greene's comments reflect her alignment with the Make America Healthy Again initiative led by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., which emphasizes skepticism toward pharmaceutical companies and long well-deserved, and advocates for more rigorous vaccine testing. Kennedy has announced that Moderna will conduct a true placebo-controlled trial for mNEXSpike, aiming to address concerns about vaccine safety and efficacy. Joining us now is my friend, Dr. Ryan Cole, a board-certified pathologist from whom I've learned more about health and medicine than almost anyone else. I'm so pleased to have him on. Hi, Dr. Ryan.
Hey, Christian, good to be with you. Thank you so much.
So tell me, what are your thoughts on the safety and necessity of this new vaccine?
Well, the necessity is about zero, and here's why. The variants that this new approval for this Moderna mNEXSpike covers are all extinct. So it is compared not against placebo, but against Moderna's first shot from early in the pandemic, against the Wuhan HU1 strain. This mNEXSpike still contains that strain, which basically went extinct December of 2020, early 2021. And then they include the Omicron variant, BA4, BA5, both of which went extinct about 2 years ago. Now, they say it's a lower dose, but that's misleading in the sense that with this genetic injection, this is still a gene-based injection, there's still no off switch. So instead of giving 50 micrograms of synthetic RNA, they're giving 10 micrograms of synthetic RNA, but it's still a gene that goes into your cells, has no targeting, can go anywhere in the body, and has no known off switch. So it's still going to induce immune responses for your body to attack your own cells. It's really kind of a bait and switch because they say that it's new, but it's really old and expired already and has no potential for benefit to anybody. And then it's also misleading in the sense that people think, oh, here's a new shot. The variant that's circulating now is an Omicron subvariant. What is it, N1.8.1 or PN or I forget the letters on it. But at this point, we've got a totally different variant that's a common cold. And they approved something that has all risk and no benefit, unfortunately. And I think Representative Greene is correct.
Okay, so I'm getting deja vu. So you and I met 4 years ago in 2021 through Dr. Simone Gold, who we're having on tomorrow. And I remember just picking your brain over dinner and having you explain the issues with the vaccines and doing these illustrations on napkins, which were you're just brilliant at simplifying things or clarifying things. And what you explained to me at the time was that the problem with the vaccine that came out is that it was coded for the alpha variant, which had by that time been extinct, right? And I think it was the Delta variant at the time. So that was the issue with it. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah, and that's the nature of this family of viruses. They mutate very quickly, and we've seen that over these years. And so it's like going to a carnival or a fair and playing that whack-a-mole game, and you're trying to whack that next mole that pops up, and it keeps popping up. That's the same with these variants from this family of viruses. As much as one tries to pursue them, they're going to change too quickly to catch.
Okay, so why do they keep doing this 4 years after the fact? Why do they keep coding new vaccines for long since extinct variants?
This is a great question, and this is also shows the disingenuousness, sorry, tripping over my tongue here, of the companies, because they say this is a plug and play platform. We can change the code quickly and roll out for whatever variant. Well, why are they pursuing something that's long since gone 2 years ago and 4 years ago? That's a great question, and I think it's follow the money, and we hear that all the time, but the regulatory agencies are captured. They're not asking these very simple scientific questions, and yet they're giving approvals. So something's rotten in Denmark. I mean, to get approval of something that covers something that isn't there is pure, scientific negligence and malpractice at this point.
So who is not doing their job? Whose job is it, in the FDA to say, whoa, 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 no, what are you guys doing? This is this is matched to a long extinct variant. Do it again. Do it over.
I think this is. I don't want to blame it on the new staff members or leaders that are there per se. They've only been there for, a few months. So this was likely in the pipeline and had gone through the process fairly, lengthy over a several month period of time. But at the same time, Marty Macri at FDA, he could call foul on this right away. Think about it. We have every week, if you go to the FDA's website, you'll see some lettuce that's been recalled, or hamburger, or some food item on a shelf at whatever grocery store in whatever region, and they can instantaneously issue recalls. That same thing can be done here. They can look at this and say, oh, wait a minute. Even though it's a smaller dose and a smaller gene code, and it's, in their trial looked a little better than the first one, but that's because they were only measuring antibodies, which doesn't matter. They could quickly say, look, this is a bad idea, let's stop this. Vinay Prasad, who is the Centers for Biologics, CBER, he could also step in and do the same. I don't know if they're not familiar with the system yet or the powers that they have, but they have the ability and they have the regulatory authority to step in and say, okay, enough of this game. This is bad science, and we're not going to allow bad science to be inflicted upon the American public.
So how significant is Moderna's agreement to conduct a true placebo-controlled trial for mNEX spike in terms of scientific rigor and public trust?
Well, I mean, I hope they do a placebo-controlled trial, but my assertion is that this is a pointless shot, because it would be great if maybe it did cover, the current circulating variant, which is 70 to 80% of what's circulating in the US right now. But they're not doing that. They're doing something. Even if they do it against placebo, it doesn't matter, because it's a shot that doesn't cover anything that's out there.
So how does the MAHA initiative's approach to vaccine approval and public health policy influence the broader conversation about medical freedom and informed consent, which is a subject that we've talked about a lot?
I think, make America healthy again doesn't matter unless you make yourself healthy again. And I like the construct behind, okay, we need to be more health aware. That's wonderful. I think we do have some good people in good positions now. They don't have most of the staff they need yet. The Senate has been slow walking other confirmations. There's been a lot of criticism lofted towards Secretary Kennedy and some of these other agency leaders. And, I think some of that criticism is somewhat fair. However, they're inside a machine that's been rolling along for a lot of years, doing a lot of corrupt things. They can't stop it all themselves. They need trusted advisors. They need trusted individuals. They need to change the culture of those organizations. And I think slowly we're seeing, very positive messaging coming out in, the legacy media. They're going after food problems, wonderful. They're going after, thankfully, some toxic chemicals, in the environment, wonderful. Do we want them to do more? Absolutely. But do we need to keep supporting them? We do, with kind criticism when necessary. But I think the overall big picture is people are more awake than they were, which is wonderful. People, I think, are going to start taking personal responsibility for their health. It's not going to change rapidly by the extraction of, one toxic thing in the environment or the other. I think, the best thing we could do is get rid of this synthetic modified RNA platform that they're trying to use on other shots as well. But I think optimistically, we are going in the right direction. It may not go as fast as we would all like to see it happen.
So turning to another topic, the Department of Health and Human Services has terminated a nationwide COVID-19 testing program initiated under the Biden administration, which provided free tests to community organizations, citing the program's $1 billion cost and the pandemic's official end. HHS labeled the continued federal distribution of tests as a significant waste of taxpayer dollars. The agency is now reallocating resources to address chronic health issues, aligning with President Trump's MAHA initiative that we're talking about, which focuses on combating obesity and autism and teenage depression. What are your thoughts on the HHS's decision to end this program and redirect funds toward chronic disease prevention?
I think it's a good idea. What I never saw evidence of as these tests were mailed out free to each and every home, and I have a background in laboratory medicine and test development. In fact, we developed the most accurate protein test, antigen test on the market, and couldn't get it past the FDA because of the regulatory games. But at the same time, these tests, just like I mentioned in the previous segment, didn't address the fact that the protein was shifting and changing as well, the shape of it, that lock and key structure, all the little sugars that attach to it. So the accuracy of these tests early on, back in late 20, early 21, was pretty decent, 98% sensitive, 98% specific. They were very good for the variant that existed at the time. But again, I saw no good evidence that they continued to modify these tests to detect the newer variants. And so the chance of getting a false positive at home or a false negative was pretty high. And so it was kind of payola for the people that were in these big mega biomedical corporations. It was a boondoggle for them. And I would much rather see those funds. I think this is a great idea. Much rather see those funds go to treatment and go to helping the individuals who are sick with treatments and making people healthy again. Medical education, teaching people about moving their bodies, losing weight, eating correctly, getting adequate amounts of sunshine, vitamin D, just the basics of life, sleep, just things of that sort. And so $1 billion shifted towards companies that were just stuffing their pockets full of money, while these tests were, at best questionable, that were being sent in the mail. I mean, in a laboratory, we have to keep these tests at very specific temperature ranges, very specific humidity conditions. So the fact that these were being shipped willy-nilly left and right, did bring into mind a lot of questions as to the accuracy. So I think this is a great move on Secretary Kennedy's part, that we can take those kind of funds and actually help people with the funds instead of making the fat cats richer.
I have so many more questions, but we have to end now. I feel like we're just getting started. Will you come back sometime soon, Dr. Ryan Cole?
It's a pleasure, Christian. Anytime. I'm here to help educate America and help make all of us healthy again. So thank you for the opportunity, and all the best to you and your audience.
Great. Thank you so much. Coming up, President Trump has issued a travel ban on a dozen nations. Congresswoman Sherry Biggs joins us.